It was once told to me, if you have a quarterback, you have a chance. So what kind of chance do the Raiders have in 2025 with their quarterback, Geno Smith? We'll break that down plus more on Monday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast for July 7th, 2025.
You are Locked On Raiders, your daily Las Vegas Raiders podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen of the day. We definitely appreciate you. You're catching the show wherever you find your favorite podcast, or you're checking us out by way of the YouTube page. You know we appreciate both. Show continues to grow each and every day because of your consistent support and the great job that my man Ari does behind the scenes, making sure we look good and sound good each and every day by way of the YouTube page. So we definitely appreciate him. We shout him out just like we shout you out, Raider Nation. Even in the offseason, even with this slower time of the year, you tune in each and every day, and we appreciate that. So hats off to you. Hats off to Ari. If you want to check out Ari, he's on Twitter at Ari Produces. You can find me as well at your boy Q254. And if you want to be a part of the show, we got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line 707-654-4693. Normally we'll hear from you closing out the show. Segment number 3, calls and texts. Today we don't have that because segment number 2 and segment number 3 are going to be about Geno Smith, the quarterback, and what kind of advantage the Raiders will have in 2025 when they're going up against their teams that they're playing, right? So John McClain used to write for the Houston Chronicle for a very long time. He's a Hall of Fame writer, Hall of Fame just dude in general. I caught up with him over the weekend. I was in Texas, had an opportunity to catch up with him, and we started talking about the NFL, started talking about quarterbacks, started talking about teams that made a move from either worst to first or just being in a bad position to all of a sudden being in the playoffs. And he said the key to it, Q, is you have to have a quarterback. If you have a quarterback, you have a chance. So what kind of chance do the Raiders have in 2025 going up against the teams on their schedule? We'll break that down in segment 2 and segment number 3. Segment number 2 will go from game 1 to game 7, and then they go into their bye week. And then after that, we'll finish off in segment number 3, the rest of the schedule of the regular season. So that's what we'll consume segment number 2 and segment number 3. Segment number 1, news and notes of the day. Kind of. We'll jump into that after I tell you about the title sponsor of the show, and that's Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Now, off top, I mentioned that I was in Texas. I was hanging out with John McClain, was supposed to play in John McClain's softball game that he has at Baylor University, Getterman Stadium, each and every year. I've been blessed to be able to play in that game. It's a whole lot of fun. I enjoy going there, hanging out, talking some trash, also picking up some knowledge from John McClain. But it rained the whole time that we were there in Central Texas. Thursday through Sunday, it did nothing but rain. So the game got canceled. We didn't get to play. So that was our disappointment. But there was much bigger issues going on in Texas when it came to rain and came to flooding. As a matter of fact, as of Sunday night, 82 people had died in connection with the flash floods that struck Central Texas. The toll included at least 28 children in Kerr County, where 10 girls and 1 counselor from Camp Mystic are still unaccounted for, And again, that was as of Sunday night. So our thoughts and prayers definitely go out to those families that are dealing with that. That's a tragedy. All I did is not get to play in a softball game. No big deal, right? No sweat off my back. But this is a massive thing. And I know that we have Raider fans that listen to this show from all over the country, all over the world, including Texas, including Kerr County. So yeah, definitely want to make sure we send out those thoughts and prayers, and just awful to hear about that. But that definitely impacted everything that went on in Central Texas and Texas in general over the 4th of July weekend. So hopefully, there'll be some kind of closure with those families, and they'll be able to, the ones that are unaccounted for, authorities will be able to find them sooner rather than later. But just an awful way to, just think about family gathering and everything, 4th of July weekend, and they have to deal with that. So again, thoughts and prayers go out there. Also, when we're talking about thoughts and prayers, we look to a member of Raider Nation, and I did not know this guy, Raider Mort, but apparently a ton of Raider fans do. Big-time member of Raider Nation, and I know it's big, and I know it's important, and I know it's serious when the Raiders tweet about a member of Raider Nation passing away. They tweeted out on Sunday night, the Raider family mourns the passing of Raider Mort, a deeply passionate fan of the Silver and Black and a cherished part of Raider Nation. Mort attended games all over the world and supported the Raiders with a rare, ardent fervor. An expert on team history and trivia, Mort's lifelong love of the Raiders was the inspiration of fans everywhere. The prayers of the Raider Nation are with Mort's family at this time. Again, I did not come across Raider Mort, so I did not know him, but I know a lot of members of Raider Nation that did know him. And I saw a lot of people tweeting about him. Social media was, pretty on fire when it came to Raider Mort and his passing. So we definitely want to make sure we show that love. Matter of fact, my colleague, JT the Brick, I know he knew him really well. So he was tweeting about him also. So again, definitely want to make sure to pass that along. Today, we've got the Raider Squad, something that we've been doing now. It's new to the Locked On Podcast Network. More Raider content. It is not in place of this show. It is in addition to this show. Chantel Chan, Lincoln Kennedy, and myself, we've done 2 shows so far, 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. We've been doing that Monday and Wednesday. We did that last week. We're going to do it Monday and Wednesday again this week. So with today being Monday, 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, myself, Chantel, and Lincoln Kennedy will be talking all things Raiders, talking about biggest concern for the Raiders this season, offense, offensive line, defense, whatever we come to mind, that'll be our main feature. But it's 1 hour long, 1 hour strong, live stream, really good stuff. I've heard some really good feedback, but it's only been a couple shows. So we're going to continue to try to get it better and better and better each and every week, or each and every episode, I should say. And whenever I get an opportunity to catch up with Lincoln Kennedy and talk with Lincoln, it's always great to talk some silver and black. So depending on what time you're listening to this or watching this show, it may already be over. It might be on the way up. But if you're a subscriber to the Locked On Raiders podcast, the YouTube page, or just wherever you find your favorite podcast, you can get the Raider Squad show. Again, new to the Locked On Podcast Network, Chantel Chan, Lincoln Kennedy, and myself, 7:30 a.m. this morning. So also, as we close out segment number 1 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast, I mentioned John McClain. I mentioned what he said. If you have a quarterback, you have a chance. So what kind of chance do the Raiders have in 2025? We'll go up and down their schedule, starting off with the first half of the season. In segment number 2, where are the advantages? Is it with the Raiders and Geno Smith or the other team? We'll break that down. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about the title sponsor of the show, and that is Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. The easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merchandise, or even just invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to the first pitch, and they've got incredibly great last-minute deals. Clear seat views and the lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. And that's what I like. I like, obviously, the lowest price guarantee. That's fantastic. But when you have the seat view, when you can actually click on a seat, see it, and know exactly what it's going to look like when you sit there, I think that's a game changer. How many times have you bought a ticket to a game thinking it was in a really good section, then you get there and you're like, okay, this was all right. Well, you won't have that kind of issue with Gametime. It's right there on the app. You've got it covered, and they've got it covered. Last-minute tickets, zone deals, savings like 10% off exclusive zone deals for everything that they've got going on. Right now, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONNFL. It's all one word for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account, use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. My guy, John McClain, Hall of Fame voter, Hall of Fame writer, Hall of Fame guy in general, been covering the NFL for more years than I've been alive. Fantastic dude. One of the reasons that I'm here in Las Vegas right now. He's always been a guy who looked out for me even when I was at ESPN Central Texas. He's a guy that I have on my radio show each and every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Just a fantastic guy. Always love to talk with him, talk all things NFL, and really just like to listen. Right. He's one of those guys that he has so many stories, so many good just kind of conversation pieces when it comes to the NFL. A lot of times I just like to listen and soak up knowledge. Well, when we were in Central Texas getting ready for the softball game, even though we didn't get to play in it, so many people that know I'm in Vegas now and cover the Raiders, they kept asking me, how are the Raiders going to do this year? How are they going to do this year? And I kept saying, look, they have a lot of talent on paper. They have a new quarterback at Geno Smith, and Pete Carroll is there. There's a lot of excitement, but they play in the AFC West. It's going to be difficult. Remember, they were a team that won 4 games a season ago. So it was funny. John jumped in and said, yeah, you're right. The Texans were in that position at one time. They were in a really bad position, even though the division that the Houston Texans play in is never going to be as tough as the AFC West with the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos, just like the Raiders play. I mean, they don't have to worry about that. That division that the Texans are in is never that difficult. But he said is once they got a quarterback, they had a chance. They obviously got C.J. Stroud. They were able to win the division, go to the playoffs. You know, they're a lot better team with C.J. Stroud. So now they're one of those teams that you look at and you're like, yep, they're probably going to win the division multiple years. So when you look at Geno Smith and the Raiders, how often will the Silver and Black have the advantage at the quarterback position? Let's go through the schedule. We'll go through the first half kind of quickly, and then in segment number 3, we'll do the second half of the season. All right, week 1, they're at the Patriots. Drake May is the quarterback that Geno Smith will be facing. Second-year guy, first-year head coach with the Patriots, and Mike Vrabel. He's not a rookie head coach, but he's first year with the Patriots, and he's going to try to put all the pieces together. They went out and spent a lot of money in free agency, especially on the defensive side of things. Obviously, they had some very high draft picks. So they're expecting Drake May to take that next step. He didn't play the full season his rookie year. So I think the advantage is with the Raiders in week 1. I think Geno Smith, who threw for 4,320 yards, 21 touchdowns, 15 interceptions last year with Seattle, I think that's an advantage. He was ranked 4th in the National Football League. Now, just because you're ranked high or you throw for a lot of yards or have a lot of touchdowns doesn't mean that you're always going to be the advantage, right? Just because you may be ranked a little bit higher doesn't mean that you're going to be the better quarterback. Geno Smith also took, 50 sacks last season, which is unacceptable. You can't do that, right? He was second only behind Caleb Williams, and we know how bad it was for him. So, yeah, that can't happen. But I think week 1 is safe to say Geno Smith, advantage Raiders against the Patriots. So then they return home week 2. They're playing Monday Night Football against the Chargers. Justin Herbert, 2024, Justin Herbert was ranked 9th. Threw for 3,870 yards, 23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I don't think there's any doubt about it. It's advantage Chargers when it comes to Justin Herbert. Very talented quarterback, and I know some people get this twisted when I talk about Justin Herbert. Very, very, very talented quarterback. Let's not get that wrong, right? We know this. Now, whenever I criticize Justin Herbert, it's only because he hasn't won anything big, and quarterbacks get criticized by not winning. We know that. If you're a big-time quarterback, you throw for a lot of yards, get a lot of touchdowns, but you're not winning, you're not getting to the postseason, you're not winning Super Bowls, you get criticized. It's just that matter. And, oh, by the way, he's a $55 million a year quarterback, or 53, whatever the case may be. So you're going to get criticized. But when it comes to talent alone, we know there's no doubt Justin Herbert is more talented than Geno Smith. So week 2, advantage Chargers. Week 3, the Raiders are at the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels, second-year guy. His rookie season had the Commanders 1 game away from the Super Bowl. He was the offensive rookie of the year, right? I mean, I know there was some conversation that Bo Nix could have been that guy, but Jaden Daniels was clear-cut offensive rookie of the year. Now, he ranked 16th amongst all quarterbacks last season. 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Dual threat guy. He could run, throw. He's a winner, right? He's very clutch. He has moments that at the end of the game, he doesn't flinch. He's got ice in his vein. I don't even think it's close. Advantage Commanders. Right. And it's funny. I talked about the Raiders squad. We kind of had this conversation a little bit in show number 2. Chantel Chan was asking us, I'm just going to go through a bunch of quarterbacks and you tell me if Geno Smith's better than them. So this isn't the same exercise, but it kind of has the same exercise like roots to it. Right. It's one big tree and it's a different branch off that same base of the tree. So far through 3 weeks, the Chargers have advantage at the quarterback position and the Commanders. The Raiders have advantage once, and that's week 1 against the Patriots. So, 1 game out of 3, the Raiders have the advantage. Week 4 versus the Bears. Caleb Williams, second-year guy, ranked 17th in 2024. 3,541 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, took 68 sacks. It's not going to work. Now, he has a new head coach in Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is the whiz kid, right? He's the offensive guru. Call him whatever you want. You know how that goes. He was the guy that every team wanted that needed a new head coach, including the Raiders, and the Bears landed him. So you're assuming that Caleb Williams is going to be better, but he's a second-year guy, learning a new system. I'll still say advantage Raiders. I just think that it's early in the season. It's only week 4. I think Geno Smith is still a really good quarterback. Obviously knows Pete Carroll. Yeah, Geno Smith is working with a new system in Chip Kelly, but I just think with him being a veteran that you have to just tip the cap to the Raiders on that one and Geno Smith. So I'll give advantage Raiders there with the Bears, versus the Bears. And look, if you have any disagreement on any of these, feel free to let me know. It's fine. 707-654-4693. Moving on, week 5 at the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know what to expect from the Colts quarterback. I'm not going to lie for you. Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, either way, I think it's advantage Raiders. Daniel Jones was, seemed to be a good guy at one point with the Giants. They gave him a contract extension, and then they cut him. Then he went to Minnesota, was on the practice squad, and then the Colts picked him up because Anthony Richardson, who knows if he's even going to play this year. right? He's dealing with a shoulder injury to his throwing shoulder. He's been basically a bust so far in the league since he was drafted number 4 overall by Indianapolis. So that quarterback position's a mess. So advantage Raiders right there versus the Indianapolis Colts. Then versus the Titans, Cam Ward, rookie quarterback on the road, right? I think that's advantage Raiders, right? You have Cam Ward and the Titans coming to Allegiant Stadium. It's only week 5, like I said, or week 6, I should say, excuse me. And, this guy's on the road. I think that the Raiders get the advantage there. Just, again, I don't think that that's something that I got to spend a lot of time with. Then week 7, the final game that the Raiders play before their bye, they're at Kansas City. That's Patrick Mahomes. Do I need to explain anything there? I mean, really, do I need to make any explanation? No explanation needed. Advantage Chiefs, right? So there you go. So through the first 7 games, I see advantage Raiders week 1, advantage Raiders week 4, 5, and 6. So 4 games out of the first 7, I see the quarterback position. The Raiders have the advantage. You still got the second half of the season. So far, if you go into the bye week, just say they win those. That's not bad going into the bye 4-3. Just because you have the advantage of quarterback doesn't mean that you're going to win all those games. But if they were, there you go. There's 4 wins right there. What is the second half of the season? Week 9 through 18. What does that look like? We'll talk about that coming up in segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Here we go, Raider Nation. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. My guy, John McClain, said, Q, if you got a quarterback, you've got a chance. So what kind of chance do the Raiders have in 2025 going up against each and every opponent? And again, if you don't agree with my assessment of these games when it comes to the quarterback battle, please let me know about it. 707-654-4693. That's the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line. So far, the first 7 games of the season, I have the Raiders having the advantage 4 times. 4 out of 7, not too bad. Now they have a bye week, week 8. So coming out of the bye week, week 9 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, he was ranked 29th a year ago, but he only played in 10 games. 2,905 yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 picks. Got a new head coach, Liam Cohen, Duval, right? I mean, there's so much mess going on in Jacksonville. This is another guy that's a $50 million plus a year guy. That has not lived up to expectations. Was drafted number 1 overall, it feels like forever ago by Jacksonville, and just hasn't lived up to it. Some of it's because of coaching, some of it's because of him. A lot of turnovers, a lot of injuries. I'm just going to go advantage Raiders because I don't know what to expect from Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. Now, maybe by week 9, maybe Liam Combs got him cooking with grease, and we can go back and be like, yeah, I don't know. This looks like this is going to be a Trevor Lawrence game. Maybe we could say that, but right now, I can't. In early July, I can't feel confident saying that Trevor Lawrence is the guy, even though he's, making 50-something million a year and is expected to be the guy. I just don't see that. So week 9, I give the advantage to the Raiders going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then on a short week at Denver. So now you get Bo Nix. First time you get Bo Nix in 2025, second-year guy. He was ranked 12th his rookie year and really probably could have been Offensive Rookie of the Year if it wasn't for some guy named Jaden Daniels, who's the quarterback of the Commanders. But he guided the Broncos to the playoffs. He threw for 3,775 yards, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. The one question I have about Bo Nix, he obviously fit exactly what Sean Payton wanted him to do with the Broncos. I was very skeptical about Bo Nix in the draft a year ago. Wasn't really high on him. I knew he had been in college forever. He had done some really good things. He had been injured, and he did some bad things. So I didn't know what you were going to get, but what he did at Oregon was really good. And his battles with him against Washington, Michael Penix versus Bo Nix were really fun, right? They were fantastic. Those were 2 games that we saw in 2023 that were just phenomenal, right? So I just don't know. The question I have when it comes to Bo Nix, has he reached his ceiling yet? If he's reached his ceiling, then okay, then what you saw his rookie year is what you're going to get pretty much throughout his career. Can he get better is the big question. Because he got the Broncos into the playoffs, because he threw for almost 4,000 yards and only had 12 interceptions and 29 touchdowns, I'm giving the advantage to the Broncos. Right? Just because, again, and it's on the road. It's a short week for the Raiders. So I'm going to give them that, but I still have questions. And again, just like I said about the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence, maybe by week 9 we'll have a different opinion. Maybe by week 10 I'll have a different opinion of Bo Nix based on what he's done so far in the season. But right now, I can't even, I'd be lying to you if I said advantage Geno Smith and the Raiders. I just think that a guy that got his team to the playoffs in his rookie year, he's got to get some credit for that. So I'll go advantage Broncos week 10. Then the Dallas Cowboys come to Allegiant Stadium as Dak Prescott. He was ranked 31st in 2024, but he only played in 8 games. Again, I don't know what to expect. I think Dak's a good quarterback. I don't think Dak's a great quarterback. I sure don't think he's an elite quarterback. I don't think he uses his legs enough. He has the ability, but he doesn't do it. He's been often injured. That's some of the reason why he doesn't use his legs. And they have a new head coach in Brian Schottenheimer, a guy that apparently Dak Prescott's got a really good relationship with. But $60 million man, I'm just not a big believer in. I think he can make all the throws for the most part. I think he can guide the team. They regularly in the season win 12 games. They do that one way or the other. They just kind of flounder when they get to the playoffs. But I'm just going to go with Geno Smith here. I'm going to give the advantage to the Raiders here. You might disagree with that, and that's fine. Again, you could chime in and let me know. But I find it hard to rock with Dak Prescott because he's so kind of just up and down, right? I mean, I think that he's going to throw for, 25, almost 30 touchdowns. He'll probably have about 10 interceptions, kind of his norm. But he just doesn't seem like to be the guy that is a game changer as far as the quarterback position goes. So I'm going to go with advantage Raiders week 11 versus Dallas Cowboys. Then week 12 versus the Cleveland Browns. Who knows what they're going to roll out at quarterback? Advantage Raiders, right? No explanation needed. Look, this is all I got to say. Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson. Yeah, advantage Raiders, right? I have no idea what they're doing at the quarterback position. And to be honest, I don't think that they do. Not my problem. That's something that they've got to figure out. So I don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback week 12, but those are all their options as of right now. Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson. Nothing to write home about, and I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to play at all. I don't think Deshaun Watson ever plays again. That's just my personal feeling. We'll see. But Pickett, a young guy that kind of washed out when he was in Pittsburgh. Flacco is an old dude that'll probably wash out sooner rather than later. And Gabriel and Sanders are rookies. So, yeah, advantage Raiders week 12 versus the Cleveland Browns. Again, going through the whole Raiders schedule in 2025, looking at the quarterback positions and seeing what games the Raiders will have the advantage from that position. So, after the Browns, then you're at the Chargers. Again, Justin Herbert. I don't have to rinse and repeat, right? Justin Herbert, got a lot of respect for him. Think he's a really talented quarterback, but he hasn't won anything big yet, right? He lost in the playoffs multiple times. He's got the head coach now that's supposed to get him over the top. They have a really good offensive line, except for there's a couple pieces maybe that are missing, but I still think their offensive line is good, and they had a really good run game. They got into the playoffs in 2024. So, again, I think that's easy. Advantage Chargers. Then, boom, versus the Broncos. Again, Bo Nix, rinse and repeat. Advantage Broncos. I'll go with that again. Week 15, at the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl champ, ranked 20th last year, 2,903 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. We know that Saquon Barkley did much of the heavy lifting for the Eagles in 2024, leading them to a Super Bowl victory. We know that their defense is phenomenal. But, oh, by the way, Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, also rushed for 630 yards and had 14 touchdowns. Yeah, you might have heard of that tush-push thing. It's a thing, and it works. So I'll go advantage Eagles at that quarterback position. So all of a sudden now, the Raiders had the advantage week 12 versus the Browns, and now week 13, week 14, week 15, it's been advantage the other team, Chargers, Broncos, and Eagles. Week 16, Houston Texans. Talked about them when I talked about John McClain. He covers the Texans like a glove. C.J. Stroud, third-year guy, coming off a slight down year, ranked 15th in 2024. 3,782 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Again, he regressed a little bit. His offensive line was not very good in 2024. What does he do in 2025? Right? They went out there and they added a couple wide receivers from Iowa State in the draft. They went out and tried to put some more weapons around him to make his life a little bit easier. They went out and got a new offensive coordinator. And their offensive line, they addressed it a little bit, but they traded away their left tackle and Laramie Tunsil to the Commanders. So there's that. I'm actually going to go advantage Raiders here. I think C.J. Stroud is very talented. I just don't know if he bounces back from the down year he had in year 2. And I still think Geno Smith is a really good quarterback. Again, he goes kind of under the radar, but 4,320 yards, ranked 4th in the league a year ago, is nothing to shake a stick at. So I'll roll with Geno Smith versus the Texans. Advantage Raiders there. That's week 16. Just got a couple more games, 17 and 18. 17 is versus the Giants, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, or rookie Jackson Dart. I'm just going to go advantage Raiders, right? I don't know if Joe, man, how did I just forget his name? I want to say, I'm saying Joe Dumars, but I'm not. Brian Daboll and Joe Shane. Joe Shane is the GM. Brian Daboll is the head coach. They might be fired by week 17, right? Those guys, I mean, if you go back and look at the Giants schedule, they have a very tough schedule at the beginning of the season, and they're ownership has already said that they have to win. So if they get off to a slow start, both those guys, Brian Daboll and Joe Shane, might be gone. So Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, neither one of them might be playing at that stage. It might be rookie Jackson Dart. I'm going to roll with Geno Smith there. Advantage Raiders week 17 versus New York Football Giants. And then they close out the regular season versus Chiefs at home. Haven't beat the Chiefs in Allegiant Stadium ever. In the history of Allegiant Stadium, the Chiefs have never lost, including in the Super Bowl against the 49ers. So, again, it's Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to say advantage Chiefs, but I'll put the asterisk there. Who's going to play in this game? Is Patrick going to play in this game? Will this game even matter to the Chiefs by week 18? Right? Will this game matter to the Raiders by week 18? There's so many questions about this week 18 game. It can mean a lot. It can mean everything. Like in 2021, they took on the Chargers and they made their way to the playoffs by beating them in overtime. That could be that big of a game, or it could be a nothing burger. We don't know. So, again, just right now in July, Patrick Mahomes obviously advantaged the Chiefs in that one. But that game, is kind of TBD based off what matters there. So if you're looking at the second half of the season post-bye week, you got the Raiders with the advantage in week 9, 11, 12, 16, and 17. So that's 5 right there. Again, as I said in segment number 2, doesn't mean you're going to win all those games just because you have the advantage at the quarterback position, and doesn't mean that you have to agree with me that I think that the Raiders had the advantage in those games. You could say, no, you're wrong about that one, Q. Dallas, week 11, that's advantage Dallas. And that's fine. Or maybe even week 9, advantage Jaguars, whatever the case may be. But if you kind of add those up, the first half of the season leading into the bye week and the second half of the season, that's 9 times that the Raiders have advantage. I've been very adamant of the Raiders are going to win 8 to 9 games in 2025. And again, I'm not saying this and breaking this down to try to prove a point, but as I added it all up, I was like, wow, 9 times, and I'm feeling pretty confident about 8 to 9 wins. Again, they can win some games. They can shock us. They could beat the Commanders week 3. They could beat, the Eagles week 15. You never know. There's plenty of games that they can win that we might not see as right now. We'll know as this team gets cooking and what kind of start they get off to. But I think all in all, and you could tell me if you think I'm wrong, through 2 different halves of the season, the first 7 games, 8 weeks, obviously week 8 is bye, and then the 9 through 17, or 9 through 18, I should say, you can see 9 games that the Raiders have advantage in. So there you go, 8 to 9 wins. It looks like that could be what they're in line for just based off that. But let me know what you think, right? Again, if you have a quarterback, you have a chance. The great John McClain told me that while I was hanging out with him in Texas over the 4th of July weekend. We'll get back to your calls and texts tomorrow. Trust and believe that at 707-654-4693. Again, the Raiders Squad Show, Chantel Chan, Lincoln Kennedy, and myself, 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. We'll be talking about the biggest concern for the Raiders this season, offense, offensive line, defense. We talked about last week, Pete Carroll and the challenges that he'll face. Kind of goes in line with what we're going to talk about on the Raiders Squad. We'll get to your calls on that as well. We got plenty of news and notes to get to all coming up, and we'll do that throughout the course of the week. So tomorrow, Raider Nation, till tomorrow, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.